Autonomous driving tech is just moving incredibly fast, isn't it? And one name that keeps popping up is Momenta Global Limited.
Definitely. They're a really interesting player.
So for this deep dive, we're going to unpack Momenta, take a closer look at their tech, their strategy, where they stand right now, say April 2025.
Right, based on what we know up to this point.
Exactly. And the idea is really to pull out the key stuff for you, especially if you're following the tech scene and want to get what's really driving these autonomous vehicle companies.
Well, I think the place to start is probably their ambition. It's pretty significant.
Okay.
Momenta was founded back in September 2016. The founder, Cao Shudong, he's got a background in AI from Microsoft Research Asia, SenseTime 2, and Tsinghua University. Deep learning focus.
Right, so a strong technical foundation.
Very strong. And their stated mission from the get-go was, well, ambitious. Save 1 million lives in the next decade using autonomous driving.
1 million lives, that's huge.
It is. Especially when you think globally, traffic accidents cause, 1.35 million deaths a year, and over 60,000 in China, often due to things like speeding, tailgating. So there's a clear problem they're aiming at.
Based in China, right? Beijing and Suzhou.
Yep, headquarters there, but they've got global hubs too. Germany, Stuttgart, and Japan, Toyota City. So global reach.
Okay, so it's not just talk. They must have actual products, actual tech driving this mission.
Oh, absolutely. They have basically 2 main product lines. There's M-Pilot. Think of that as for the cars hitting the market now, mass production stuff. It handles L2 to L2 plus ADS, advanced driver assistance.
So helps the driver, but you still need to pay full attention.
Exactly. Lane keeping, adaptive cruise control, that sort of thing. But then the other side is MSD, Momenta self-driving.
That sounds like the bigger goal.
That's the push towards full autonomy, L3, L4, or where the car really takes over, at least in certain conditions or areas for L4. And they actually launched their first mass-produced intelligent driving model back in September 2024.
I remember hearing about that at that summit in Hefei.
That's the one. Big deal for them. It uses this unified deep learning framework for perception and planning, meant to handle really complex city driving.
So M-Pilot now, MSD for the future. They call that the 2-leg strategy, don't they?
They do, and it's quite clever, actually. M-Pilot gets their tech into cars sooner, generates revenue, and crucially, gathers real-world driving data.
Which then feeds the development of the more advanced MSD system.
Precisely. It helps solve that problem of needing massive amounts of data to train fully autonomous systems. You get data flowing in from the M-Pilot-equipped cars.
Smart. And it's not just robotaxis they're aiming for with MSD.
No, they're also looking at autonomous commercial vehicles, logistics, freight transport. It's a broader play than just passenger mobility.
Okay, let's dig into the core tech a bit more. You mentioned deep learning.
Yeah, that's really the heart of it. Their software handles perception, basically, understanding the world through sensors like cameras, LiDAR, radar. Then there's high-definition semantic mapping.
Semantic mapping. So maps with more context.
Exactly. Not just roads, but understanding lane markings, traffic lights, crosswalks, what they mean. And finally, data-driven path planning, deciding where the car should go. It's the brain, learning from experience.
And they use this flywheel approach.
Right. It's about iteration. More data improves the algorithms. The improved algorithms enable wider deployment or handle more complex scenarios, which generates even more data. It's a cycle.
A positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And underpinning all this, they need serious infrastructure. Big data platforms, high-performance computing, hence those partnerships in 2024 with NVIDIA, using their Drive Orin chips.
And Qualcomm too, right?
And Qualcomm, yes. For the processing power. They're also big on sensor fusion blending data from cameras, LiDAR, radar for a more robust picture.
Makes sense. Redundancy and better perception in tricky conditions.
Absolutely. And they're also working on V2X.
Vehicle-to-everything communication.
Yeah, allowing cars to talk to each other, to infrastructure, potentially huge benefits for safety and traffic flow down the line. And, of course, lots and lots of testing on public roads across China. That's essential.
You mentioned partnerships. NVIDIA and Qualcomm are key on the hardware side. What about automakers?
Well, I've got some major ones. Mercedes-Benz was quite early. Partnership started back in 2017, focused on intelligent driving systems.
And General Motors made a big investment.
Huge.
Yeah.
$300 million in 2021. That led to GM China getting approval for road tests using Momenta Tech in Shanghai by 2023.
Okay. What about Chinese automakers?
SAIC, yep. Collaboration with SAIC Motors since 2021. That involves robotaxi operations and supplying tech to SEA's IM Motors brand. Plus, more recent work with Geely on Level 4 autonomy.
So they're working across different levels and applications.
Definitely. And Toyota, too, a partnership aimed at tailoring systems for the Chinese market by 2025, working with GH Toyota. There's also a joint venture with BYD, DeepI Intelligent Mobility.
BYD is a giant.
They are. And just in 2024, besides NVIDIA and Qualcomm, there was news of a new joint venture involving Audi and SAIC Motor as well.
Wow, that's a complex web of relationships on investors. Must be a long list.
It is. Bosch, Temasek, Yunfeng Capital, Tencent, Sci Innovation Ventures, the list goes on. Major players backing them: IDG Capital, GGV, Blue Lake, Shunwei, Cathay Capital.
All that collaboration and investment, it points to serious funding rounds. They hit unicorn status, didn't they?
They did, back in 2021. Valuation over $1 billion then. By 2024, estimates were putting it over $4 billion.
That's serious cash. Where did it come from?
Well, there's an early $46 million round in 2017 led by NIO Capital, then a $200 million round in 2021. The big one was the Series C, also in 2021, which eventually topped $1 billion.
$1 billion. Who was in on that?
SAIC, Toyota, Bosch, Temasek, Yunfeng, a lot of those strategic partners and big investment funds. And then GM's $300 million came later that same year.
So the money's been flowing in, fueling R&D, expansion.
Absolutely. Hiring more engineers, enhancing the systems, scaling up the testing. It takes massive investment to compete in this space.
Okay, bringing us closer to the present, April 2025. What are the latest moves? We mentioned the GM road tests in Shanghai, the model launch in late 2024.
Right. And alongside that, they've really intensified their open road testing, putting the systems through their paces in complex urban environments across China. That real-world validation is key.
And there was talk of an IPO.
Yes, that was a big development in mid-2024. China's securities regulator gave them the go-ahead for a U.S. IPO, aiming to raise maybe $200–300 million on the NASDAQ or NYSE.
Right, by issuing around 63 million shares. So as of now, April 2025, has that happened, or is it still in the works?
The exact status is a bit unclear from public info right now, but it's likely either completed or pretty far along in the process. It's a logical step for raising more capital and gaining visibility.
Makes sense. But are there challenges? It sounds like a lot of momentum, but it can't be all smooth sailing.
No, definitely challenges. For one, adoption by partners seems a bit limited so far. The tech is being supplied to IM Motors, and Mercedes is using it for their all-electric CLA, which was set for production around now, April 2025. But broader rollout takes time.
And competition must be fierce. Companies like BYD developing their own systems in-house.
Exactly. Automakers have to decide: partner, buy, or build. Momenta offers a compelling partner option, but they're up against internal R&D at major car companies and other tech suppliers.
Still, that dual strategy seems like a strength, and the focus on autonomous freight gives them another angle.
It does. It provides some resilience. If the passenger car market is slower to adopt full autonomy, the logistics market might move faster in certain segments. Their V2X work and commercial vehicle focus are important differentiators.
And the overall market in China is growing fast, for a D at least.
Oh, yeah. The ADAS market in China ballooned from like $1.3 billion in 2018 to nearly $6 billion by 2022. So there's huge demand for the kind of systems and Pilot offers right now.
So Momenta's positioned to grab a piece of that current market while building for the fully autonomous future.
That's the idea. Capitalize now, invest for tomorrow. And if that IPO goes well, it gives them even more firepower, especially since, as you noted, they have ties with roughly half of the world's top 10 automakers in some form.
But they need to keep innovating to stay ahead.
Constantly. The tech is evolving so rapidly they can't afford to stand still, not with established giants and nimble startups all vying for the lead.
Okay, so wrapping it up then, Momenta. Clear mission, innovative tech based on deep learning and data, that clever two-leg strategy.
Strong strategic partnerships with major automakers and tech firms. Significant funding validating their approach.
And a solid position, especially within China's booming market, though facing stiff competition and the challenge of scaling deployment.
That sums it up pretty well. They're definitely a key player to watch in this whole autonomous revolution.
Absolutely. Which kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Given how fast things are moving, what's the next big hurdle or breakthrough we'll see from Momenta? What's going to really define their path towards saving those million lives?
That's the big question, isn't it? Something for us all to keep an eye on.